we've done is after our last session with Alex, the coach, who's done a lot of personal training, as well as we've added a couple of his moves into our warm-up. So it's going to be a work in progress, and we'll have one that'll probably suit you, and just so you can adjust to it if it doesn't. And he started with a couple which I'll kind of highlight as we go, but coincidentally we started with the same move, which was kind of just that big, doing the big muscles first, and kind of that hula hoop kind of motion, just kind of getting the hips going in one direction, looking down again, kind of clockwise, just kind of getting the breathing going and trying to forget where you just came from and kind of put yourself in the ping pong, or as I spoke to Scotland today, in table tennis mode. And just have that gentle hips moving. Should be able to feel the ankles, knees slightly bent, and always have those feet at least shoulder width or just slightly wider, just for balance. And you can either do this with your hands on your hips, you can do this hands in front of you, wherever you feel more balanced. And then let's start rotating the other direction. Again, counterclockwise if you're looking down. And just make those rotations as big or as small as you're comfortable with. Don't go, this isn't a stretch class, so don't go beyond your normal range of movement. You can take a stretch class and do it in yoga or do it somewhere else, and it's not for strength. It's just to loosen up the body. Okay, now let's just take the arms, swing again, swing up high as you feel comfortable. If you go all the way up or close to all the way up, that's great. And go back again as far as your range of movement will let you go. Just nice big swings. Take deeper breaths as you do that. We should be able, if you're wearing your ping pong for good t-shirt like I am, you should be able to read all of the words. Again, remember, knees slightly bent. People tend to lock their knees a lot on this. Just slightly bent. You're going to kind of almost be in your backhand ready position when you're at the table when you're doing this. Each time you might find that as you warm up, you're able to go a little bit farther, but just naturally that way. Now around the body. And then as you get a little warmer, just twist a bit at the waist. And if you're flexible, you're warmed up, you might even be able to be facing 90 degrees from the front, but just go as far as you naturally would go. Nice, easy, flowing, nothing jarring about it. It should just feel relaxing, and just keep that deep breath. Because often when you're in sports or an activity, when you're concentrating on doing something, a lot of people will tend to hold their breath without realizing it. So you consciously have to remind yourself to keep breathing throughout that. Now here's one Alex added, which kind of led into the wrists and forearms, which I quite like, and it kept in kind of in tune with what this starting one is, where it's nice and easy and loose. And he started off with the wrist. It's almost like a wave, or I think some Hawaiian dance. And it's very loose and fluid, and it gets the fingers and the wrists going for what we need to do later with the pronation and going from forehand to backhand. Just nice and relaxed, just flow, just let it flow. And I like this one that Alex kind of introduced. And we're very zen after this one. Now get the wave to go the other direction. If that doesn't hurt your head too much, I have to think about that one to try to get it going back the other way. And I don't know, after this, I felt pretty loose and relaxed. Now just shake out those hands, and I can just notice, for me, I noticed the difference on my affected side. There's a It's actually, when I look at it here, you'd think my left hand was the affected side. But the right hand looks like it's got more going on. That's
I can't believe this.
really unusual. Okay, now to sort of somewhat of the simulation of when you're at the table going to forehand and backhand. This is just an easy, or you're not leaping or you're not making any, you're just going to be stepping to the right, back in, stepping to the left, back in. And again, you can have those hands just here so you can see my feet. That's not a fashion accessory. That's a compression sock for my Achilles. So no smart comment. So just to the left, to the right, and just go where you're comfortable. And again, hands can go wherever you need them for balance. And you're going to the left for forehand or backhand, depending on which hand you play with. So straight out, back in, out, back into center, out, back in. Now, next time we're going to go on a slight angle to the left, maybe about 20 degrees. Again, if you're leaning in for an angle shot from your opponent, right, and then to the right, slight angle out, and back to center. And just go at your own pace. You don't have to follow mine. You go as far out as you're comfortable, and you go at whatever pace is comfortable for you. Now we're going to go slightly back from center, back in case you got that deep shot that you were too close to the table and you got to back up a bit. Angle it just 20, 25 degrees. Doesn't have to be that sharp an angle back. Now you got that moving. Now let's just do a bit of shoulders and head. At first, just to get it started, just roll the shoulders back. You don't have to have the shoulders up by the ears. Just get them loose, roll them back. Don't forget to bend those knees slightly and keep breathing. Okay, let's roll those shoulders forward. You might hear a little crunching in there. Getting you prepared for the crunching you'll probably hear in your neck. But don't be alarmed. Okay. Now we're going to do the head. Now the head we're going to be really careful with because people, if you're, Susan, I don't know if you're still standing, but you can get dizzy with this. And a lot of people don't work on the neck. So just go gently to the left, see who's at the door, but just turn it as far as you can where you get a little resistance, but do not push it. And then back to center, just make sure you're not dizzy, you're not lightheaded, and then go to the right. Same thing, just as far as you're comfortable going. Back to center, back to the left. And again, someone's hit a high lob just over your head, you're going to have to be turning and looking at that ball. Okay, now we're going to go up and down. Same thing, be very slow and deliberate about it, just as far as you can go, where it's comfortable. Okay, now I want you just to grab either hand on the wall or hand on your table, just to do the foot rotation. Mo, could you change the?
Yeah.
So, there we go. So just do a full 360 if you can with your left foot. Just right in place. Just make sure you got something to hold on to for balance. Reverse it, just full rotation. And then pronate it up and down, again, just within your normal range of movement. And then the other one, which is kind of side to side, you're just angling it side to side. And then just shake out that leg, just shake it out. And then we'll go to the other side. If you need to change sides on the table or turn around or change it on the wall, just do what you need to do. Again, right foot, and you can, if you watch me, you'd see that my right foot, I have a lot of trouble doing a 360 with this foot just because it's my affected side, but I never realized how restricted that was until I did my Achilles and realized that I'm doing a better job on my left foot now, even with the Achilles injury. But that's pretty, that's really restricted movement in the right foot. So that's not a good example, actually, watching my right foot. So I'll do the left one again. Okay, then we back to the pronation. And up,
What are we doing?
toe toward the knee and straight out,
Oh,
and then back and forth, hinge it at the bottom, side to side, hinge it. That one, I'm a little better with. And then shake out that leg. We do a few more, but I think that with a couple we incorporated from Alex actually was good. And that to me kind of was a good sort of modification from our last one. And I'm feeling loose now. But this one I liked a lot. It's kind of getting dizzy doing that. Okay, I'm just gonna move, we're gonna move the table here in place. We'll have our half mini table. And I have my balls that I picked for today here in the little container. We're all getting along so far. So right now we can start, have your flat surface nearby. And we're just gonna start again just with the, let me put that screen up. We're just gonna start with no racket, just with a ball. Hopefully you've been able to locate one. Now, this starts off very slowly. You're just getting your hands activated. You're just getting them used to pronating from forehand to backhand. There's no hurry on this one. You just have to get the hands, because now we're going to start to do the hand-eye.
or ear balls.
And you can slowly turn it over and drop it just as if you were switching from forehand to your backhand. Alternating, you can grab it, open palm, grab it. Now we're just going to start to toss it. But again, we don't need to get to the top of the hill before anyone, just gradually increase the height of the toss and have your eyes follow the ball to the catch. Again, simulating the game situation where you literally follow with your eyes the ball to the racket on impact. See here, I've got a lot more activity in my left hand than my right. So now it's just a nice toss. Start to get the toss up to about the height you would to serve it. Now we're again simulating the game condition where you got to have that 6 inches plus for that toss. And the thing I like to do is do everything with both hands wherever possible, so that your affected side is challenged to do everything that your good side is doing. And you don't always have time to do it on both sides, but I suggest when you do both sides, you see where your weaknesses are and work on those personally. Stay a little higher. Catch and grab, just catch and grab. And this activates a lot of it. Now do it with arms extended. Slight bend in the elbow, so then you get the peripheral vision working here. Although you're still looking at me, you have the ball, the hands are pretty close together, but the peripheral vision is coming into play, where you're looking ahead, but you also can see the ball going from hand to hand. Now, if you're feeling frisky today, do it to the left. Bring it back to center, and then bring it to the right. Now you're again simulating as you're following the ball in a game, and you're having to keep your eye on the table, your opponent, spin on the ball. There's a lot going on. So we're just trying to keep it simple right now and build it up.
I think Carol's showing some great examples of things you can work up to. And, just so you all know, Carol is actually a professional table tennis coach. So she may have you have any suggestions around ball balancing or ball tossing exercises, feel free to interject, Carol.
Okay, will
so
do.
now we're gonna go to,
Thanks.
we're just gonna go to a bounce and catch. Again, going to the next, as we keep building the warm up to the simulation of the game. You're gonna be picking this up after the ball hits the table. You'll be catching, that's fine. Catching and grabbing it. Go with whichever hand you're most comfortable with first. Catch and grab. Usually you're going to be also using your hand that you're going to be throwing up for the serve. Just catch and grab in the game. Just getting used to picking that ball up off the table as it comes to you. Just drop and catch, drop and catch.
Oops.
Drop, catch, and reload, whatever it might be. If you want to try to do the other side, if you're comfortable doing it, that's fine. If you want to stay with your good side, that's. And now we're going to go to a toss and catch first. Let's get it up. There, at least the height of the serve, maybe a little bit more. Follow that up. Okay, bounce, toss, bounce, and catch. Well, man overboard.
Yeah, you can go on.
Okay, so those of you have hopefully a good flat surface. Again, for touch. We're going to roll it, try to roll the ball from hand to hand. Just catch it lightly, but do not allow the ball to leave the table surface. So you want to be able, it's all about the touch, catch, then roll it back and try to keep the ball from leaving the surface of the table. So no bounce. And if you want to have some entertainment on your own for something as for a progression on that, you can actually try it with your racket at the edge of the table. We won't do that now, but if you want to try one just for kicks, that one's kind of fun, especially to be able to basically pick it off the edge of the table and roll it back to your hand on the other side. That one can keep you entertained for hours. Oh, maybe half an hour, I don't know, but hour. Okay, now we go to bouncing. Now we've got the racket in hand, your playing hand for starters. And we're just going to start bouncing it first though. Just do 1 or 2 bounces and catch. 1 or 2 and catch. Again, you're keeping your eye on it. You're watching it leave the racket.
The only thing I'll add to this, what you're doing there, Trent, is any of these, if we can, again, be in that athletic stance with our knees bent a little. So anytime you're doing any of the ball motions, tossing, again, a little bit, tiny lean forward with our knees bent. So even on this one, have your knees bent if we can. So that's just a little, because that's what you have to do when we're in the game. We've got to be low. So.
No, Carol, that's a good call out because I'm usually doing it and I wasn't doing it.
Exactly, I know, and it's we stand up because it's easier to stand than it is to bend.
Very good point. Good catch. Now, when you're comfortable, you can do like 3 or 4 bounces on the forehand. And then you can do your switch to the backhand. This one's a little trickier, so the balance that Carol talked about is really important. So if we do 1, 2, and turn to the backhand, 1, 2. If you need to do, if you want to do 3 or 4, and before you turn it over, go ahead. But be ready to catch that ball after you do the 1 backhand. This is a tricky one. 1, 2, 3, and 1 backhand. 1, 2. Okay. You just don't bounce it too high. Try to keep your bounces fairly low and in control, and you can reverse it. That one's tricky. Okay. Now let's go to bouncing on the backhand side only. And again, for some people, that's a little tougher. Okay, let's go to the balancing. Again, first on your playing hand, on the forehand. And again, if you're having trouble keeping it on the racket, put the cage on it. And try not to touch the fingers.
And then pick a count, take a move around.
If that's relatively easy for you, if you kind of got that down and the thing's pretty, the ball is pretty stationary, you can lift the cage up. It's just hovering above the ball. And if you're really getting, if you're really feeling good, you can actually start moving the ball around the racket and just control it with very slight movements. And it's all about the control. And again, you're in that balanced position with your hips or legs and slight knee bend. Now we can switch over briefly to your non-playing hand, and this actually is sometimes easier for me because it's not my affected side, and I probably can sometimes hit a better forehand than I do with the other side, depending on how I'm feeling. Okay, now we're going to reverse it to the backhand, and that may be trickier for most people. I know it is for me. Again, use the cage if you need to keep that ball on the racket on the backhand side. Much you can do it. Be careful not to make the cage too weighty because that'll keep the ball very much in place. So just have it lightly touching. Keep the cage without it, and then if you're feeling really good, roll it around a little bit like you're frying an egg. I don't do very often because I was allergic to them until I was 40, so experience with that. Okay, great. Now in place, we're going to we're not going to bring our knees up to our chin, but we're just going to, again, have your feet comfortably apart. Just slightly, almost just walk in place where you're almost just lifting your heels. So now we're starting to move around a bit with the ball and the racket. Again, if you're really in great balance, I would only do this if I was holding onto the table or the wall. Once you get doing this for a while, you can start to do like the, alternating, stepping in place. But I think for now we should be fine. Just with the heels up, as far as you're comfortable alternating. Now, from there, if that one's working well, let's take it and just go 90 degrees to the left You've got to be looking at where you're going as well as looking at the rack and the ball. So then back to center. And then to the right.
Variations. Well, I bet we're actually at 4:35, so I think we can get close to wrapping up the bit. You can do a variation of similar well, bouncing carnations.
And once you're comfortable with that, you can start to do, actually a short walk on that. And the one that will really sort of follow the game simulation is the alternating forehands and backhands, where you have a little bit of room. And you can just I would just try and do one at a time for now, where it's 1, 2, catch, 1, 2, catch.
Yeah, why don't we take them like 2 minutes and everybody just do a series of drills that they think they could most work on.
What was that?
So, now we can just take the next couple of minutes and just work on the drill that you like to do the most for the next minute or two, and then we'll wrap things up.
Yeah, no, I
Okay.
spend time on the one that you're having most difficulty with. Like if you're having trouble with this, I know a lot of people probably need to work on forehand to backhand, especially if you're playing a game with someone and the pace starts to go and you have to move from forehand to backhand. The whole hand-eye and reaction time. 1, 2, catch. 1, 2, forehand, backhand, catch. And this is the one I was talking about, which Alex introduced, which was when you're rolling the ball back and forth, when someone hits a shot to the very end of the table, you can just catch that, try to catch your racket so you can send the ball back without it bouncing. Really good one for touch. Soft shot, touch.
Yeah,
drop
that's true.
shot.
Good one. Yeah, I like that.
Well, again, I feel warmed up. Now, Susan, what was the toughest for you on there? Which one gave you probably the most challenge?
Me?
Yes, you.
Well, I guess the back, going back and forth.
Now alternating.
Yeah,
You can imagine in a game, imagine a game where you've got to go back. So you're not only doing that, you're watching to see where your opponent's hitting the ball and seeing what spin they're putting on it. So if you've got this movement down, there's already a lot going on
yeah.
in the back end of that. You can do it this way. You can certainly do it this way. Adam, was there one in particular for you that was?
Well, when we first started a couple sessions ago, alternating front and back was really hard for me. But over time, I'm starting to get the sense of it.
Perfect. That's great.
So it's actually a very helpful exercise.
Great. Linda?
Front, forward, backwards, definitely. I can hit it, but it goes someplace where I can't catch it.
Yeah. Did you? I have this one that I'll show you after. It goes around your head and it has a string on it. And you don't have to go look for
I'm
it.
catching it all the time. That's part of the sport.
Carol, you probably nailed most of these. Is there one that you did naturally? Is there one thing in the game technique that you still, at your level feel challenged by, or isn't always a win?
The one I like to try is you have it flat and then you throw it up and you try to turn it over and then get it to go dead on the other side. So that's a challenge to get it to go dead. So yes, and I really like the idea that you said about using both hands, because it wakes us up on both sides. So, and it's, I always like to say you have one good hand and then you have another good hand. So the doing both sides is really good.
Mm.
So I think in this, ultimately, for a complete program, you need to have the balance, you need to have the flexibility, you need to have the hand-eye. So,
Yes.
there's,
Mhm.
you need to have a sort of basic level of fitness. So, and other activities you can do to complement this that will give you the flexibility and the balance will be certainly a good complement. So, I can expect to play ping pong every day.
Mhm.
But the beauty of this is you can do these exercises yourself. Since we're recording them, probably 15 or 20 minutes if you just, want to fit that in. And if you need any progressions, the difficult any of these, you can certainly let me know.
Yeah, and a lot of these are also on the tutorial section of our website, so you can always get a refresher there. They're printed. And then just a reminder, we'll be having, our session this week will be Zoom again on Tuesday evening, but at 6 p.m. So we'll start a little earlier since we'll be on Zoom. And I'll send another reminder out via email. And then just every 4 o'clock on Sundays, whenever you want to join us here, we're going to continue developing exercises and evolving this program, and probably having some guest coaches and people leading it. And we hope you can join us.
Yeah, and
So
we'll just keep watching the COVID situation in terms of, how in person the meetings will be. And hopefully it'll be fairly soon.
Great doing these drills on Zoom. It's really good.
Very
Oh, this is
Yeah, well,
fabulous.
Mhm.
I think if you stay on the schedule, and then you'll do them, if you're left to your own device. I think if we can.
Well, Tuesday will be in Santa Monica.
Zoom.
Oh, we're
we'll be
zooming.
on Zoom again.
So what are we
COVID.
doing? Exercises?
We'll just do more on this one, what we did today, with the paddle and a ball, and you will have a paddle on Tuesday, Susan.
Thank
The
you.
only thing I'd add on this is that from all the studies that are done, it's like you go from the one that Linda's aware of that was done in Canada recently in York University, Carol, where people were just dancing one day a week to music, and they had improvement on their symptoms. One day a week, dance only.
Wow.
So imagine if you have dance, ping pong, boxing, and spinning.
Yeah,
And those can decrease your symptoms and potentially slow the progression.
that's right.
Fantastic.
So we're going to say, we're not going to tell you what to do. You can decide what you want to do for yourself. But it seems that the combination of frequency and intensity is what improves, slows progression, and decreases symptoms. So you can, that's the part of what's going on with this disease in particular that you have the control of. And we're doing the one activity here that we believe potentially has the most potential to do those two things. And so with you guys at the sort of going to be part of the core group that's hopefully going to drive it to more of the research studies on the impacts of it. So, do what you can, but complement it with any of those other three, as well as things like yoga for flexibility, and weight training is the other one, which is absolutely part of it. Is you have to have weight resistance. So we want to do that with ping pong at the core, and complement it with those other things. But it's frequency and intensity is best you can do with your own energy level. And beauty is some of these you can do at home. You don't have to always go to a class and be somewhere all the time.
One other final addition is starting when we do go back into person session, we invite you to bring your partner or anybody that you think you might be able to play ping pong. So we're opening up to have them go through the the sessions with us.
Yeah,
So
could be best friend, significant other, whatever, whoever, you'd feel comfortable, joining you, come on down.
yeah, so starting probably the first week of February. So just know, feel free to invite. It'll be Tuesday nights, 7 p.m. is our current schedule. And, we want to have more people at these sessions and invite more people at different levels of intensity so that we can continue to evolve the program. So we'd love bring a friend.
If you have any suggestions, you just want to share one-on-one, just, reach out to either one of us on that basis as well. Because this is one where it's pure lead and it's a work in progress and you're going to be part of the progress.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody.
Wonderful evening.
Fabulous.
Sundays.
Nice to meet you all, and hope I'll see you all again.
I hope so.
Maybe
Thank you.
Bye,
maybe
everybody.
in
Thank,
person
night.
one day.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot.